What happens when a 22-year-old with no local connections, no office, and no safety net launches a roofing company from a stranger's couch and ends up dominating high-end neighborhoods within months? In this episode, we're breaking down how Jordan White built SeekOne Roofing into one of the most exciting new names in the industry. We dive deep into how customer communication, culture, and structure fuel scalable growth without compromising experience. Jordan is the 26-year-old co-founder of SeekOne Roofing, a rapidly growing roofing company known for its elite service in affluent markets like Franklin and Brentwood, Tennessee. Jordan's systems-driven approach, aggressive leadership, and faith-forward culture have allowed SeekOne to scale across multiple markets without losing its edge. What sets Jordan apart is his obsession with the in-between moments, the 4 weeks before the build and the 4 weeks after. From drop-off gifts to dashboards that track every dollar and delay, SeekOne is engineered for consistency, loyalty, and world-class execution. If you want to learn how to scale fast while keeping your team tight and your customers talking, this is the blueprint. Let's dive in with Jordan White from SeekOne Roofing. Welcome to the Roofing Success Podcast. I'm Jim Aline, and I'm here to bring you insights from top leaders in the roofing industry to help you grow and scale your roofing business. Jordan White, SeekOne Roofing. How are you, man?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. We got you're one of the up and coming roofers in the game, right? Like one of the young generation. How old are you, man?
For sure. Well, thanks for having me on, first of all, and good morning. I'm 26 years old.
I love it, man. I've had a few guys on that have that are part of the, I don't know, man. It's the new generation of roofing, and I love the visions that people have and the way that they're doing things differently, with a focus on quality and a focus on customer experience. And had a conversation with you and really enjoyed it. So wanted to have you on. Tell us a little bit about your journey into roofing and starting SeekOne.
Yeah, of course. Man, what a journey it's been. 4 years ago, I decided to chase a dream, and I moved up to Nashville from Atlanta, started SeekOne Roofing Company, had nothing but just a vision and a will to win. Came up here, ended up dropping off my stuff and in a storage unit, slept on a guy's couch for the first month, 2 months, 3 months, figuring it out. Didn't know a road, didn't know a neighborhood, didn't know much of anything, but I knew that I was meant to be here for a reason. And we were able to start SeekOne Roofing Company and successfully launched very, very, very aggressively within that first year.
Were you doing roofing sales down in Atlanta before this, or?
I was at the right place at the right time. I was able to be fortunate enough to work for a company in Atlanta that scaled to 9 locations within about 6 years and was able to reach about $100 million in revenue.
Nice. So you got to see the potential firsthand. Is that a good way to put it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's exactly what went down. I saw exactly what not to do and what to do. And my partner and I, we both came from that business. And I think we had a playbook of, exactly how to execute from watching extreme growth within a short amount of time.
Yeah, because that is a short, like how fast did they go to 100 million? Within
about 6 to 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's moving.
For sure. And so we were able to take, a lot of that and integrate that into our own business. But I think more than what we took that was working was what didn't work. How do we, find the gap in the game that they had, solve that, and then kind of bulletproof our own operation?
Well, let's start with that. What was the thing that you saw in a company scaling that fast that didn't work?
I think the customer experience and customer journey was just dropped. And I think that communication is everything in construction. SeekOne Roofing Company, we have a couple different sayings, but one of ours is construction's broken and we're just fixing it. I don't think that the actual construction side of it is broken. I think that it's the communication. And that's what we're really honed in on is, hey, when you're building, 100 roofs a month, up to 200 roofs a month, up to 300 roofs a month, how do you maintain that customer experience and journey? Because we all do the same thing. A lot of people will say my crews are, elite, our craftsmanship's there. And I'm sure it is. And I mean, everyone vets their crews and goes through and finds the sweet spot. But I think in all reality, from the initial inspection all the way to the last nail, that's what separates a roofing company nowadays, is not so much the actual quality craftsmanship, because I think that should be there no matter what. Like, why are we on site if we don't have the right people? And I think that so many people focus on, the actual just build and not that, hey, look, when that last nail's put in, I say that the job starts when the job's done. Because I think that a lot of people move after that job's done, and they go on to the next, and they kind of, leave that customer waiting for that check and, hey, just let me know when you get it. And I think that you can really excel in that last, 2, 3, 4 weeks post build where you're, firing them off a survey monkey that says, how was your experience with SeekOne? Maybe a survey on how was our project management and our, communication, a referral link, a walkthrough. Like, I think that the job starts when the job's done. And for most people, I think they just go to the next.
I see that a lot. I see that a lot. It's always on to the next one. And I think a lot of times from a sales perspective, that's what it is, right? Like it's man, let's keep this thing going. Let's go to the next thing. Let's go to the next thing. Where did the communication break down in the big company, and what did you do? Like, you mentioned a few things, but what was the thing that you started with? Like that with SeekOne, like, okay, this is where we saw the communication breakdown most often. Mm-hmm. This is the first thing we focused on.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that roofing is a really spread out operation, from the initial inspection week 1 to an adjustment week 2, to a scope week 3 to a contract week 4. And then I noticed, well, guess what? A successful company is going to be about 4, 5, 6 weeks out on that schedule. If a company's only 1 week out, are they really in a high demand in their market, to be, used, for roofing projects in the community? I don't think so. And so for me, when I see that, wait a second, that customer's already gone through 4, 5, 6 weeks just to get to the contract to hand over and check, pick the shingle color, and pursue, the next steps. Well, how are you going to communicate with that person from, the contract to the build? I think it's very crucial to remind them each week, and so for us, that's what we noticed was the gap was, hey, look, the reps, he's going to communicate when is the, adjustment with the insurance carrier, and hey, have you received your first check, and hey, can we do a contract? But I think that there needs to be even more communication after that contract when someone just, agreed to do a high ticket deal with you at $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to let them know each week, hey, we've got you. You're on our list. You're a top priority within our company. This is our estimated start date. Is there anything that you need in between for us? Just really filling in that 3-4 week period before the build. And then, like I said, the 3-4 weeks after the build, when they're waiting on that check, don't just move to the next. At SeekOne, we send surveys. At SeekOne, we send automated text messages before the build and after the build to maintain that, good customer, communication and experience. And then also, I think it's, not forgetting the little things. I focus here at SeekOne Roofing Company on, hey, if we can compound the little things, then we can be great at most things. And so for me, it's like, hey, look, after that build, go do a walkthrough with that customer. Hey, after that build, send them some photos and a little video of their project to showcase their house. Hey, after that build, please go through and figure out, a small gift, whether it's a $20 bottle of wine, whatever it is. How can we fill in, what other people are, and just doing those little things to compound an amazing customer experience.
Let's start with filling the gaps that your reps leave, because I think that's a big one right there. From signed contract to build, it disappears off of their radar a lot of times, right? And so they're not. What have been some of the gaps that you filled that you mentioned a couple of them. What have been the most impactful there?
Yeah, I really do think that, I mean, you got to realize that these customers, these clients, they've got families, they've got kids. I mean, it's right now summer. Come on, they've got VBS, they've got camps, they've got sporting events, they've got trips, beach trips. Like they're all over the place. And for that sales rep, he's going to remember, right? Because he's really focused on, hey, look, I need this build. I need to get paid on this. And what is it going to work for me? Well, for us, I think that we've just owned the fact that, hey, look, like to not have that gap, we need to have a customer person, service person within our office staff that's going to, communicate through automations every other day, if not for sure every week. So I think we've just from home base said, hey, look, we're going to control that and make sure that we don't any
what does that role look like? Is that a specific role to customer communication? Is it just one of the team in the office? Does the communication get split up between multiple team members in the office? How does that work for you?
It does. It goes from department to department all the way.
Okay.
And we all use, a platform I think a lot of people are familiar with called Podium. We're able to go through and use automations. And a lot of these are templates, don't get me wrong, but it's just having that pulse, letting that homeowner hear from you, hey, your job has moved from post-contract into, supplemental phase, or hey, your job's moved from supplemental phase to, pre-build and reminder, your build's next week. Hey, week of the build, just here's 10 reminders of what to do. Move your cars before. Hey, we're going to start that project at 6:30 in the morning. Hey, your, superintendent, here's his name, here's his information. So it's just really every week, just continuously letting them know that, hey, look, we're on top of it. And I think the more effort that we put into that, the less questions we get on the back end. And from an accounting standpoint and collections, like when we ask for something, these people follow because we've been notifying them the entire process of what our expectations are.
What have you found the best ways to communicate have been? Are you just doing emails? Are you doing emails, texts, phone calls? What's the communication mix that you guys have found? And I'm sure it's ever evolving, but what are you doing most of the time?
For sure. I think the email is tough. I think that phone calls are tough just with where we're located. Like SeekOne headquarters is out of Franklin and Brentwood, which is a very high-end area. This market and understanding, our audience, these are fast-paced people. These are very successful people. They don't want the email and they don't want a phone call. So I honestly think that the text messages have been great for us. They opt in and then they get notified the entire time. So I really took that from, hey, look, let's see what the customers want to do with the insurance carrier on the front end. When that claim's initiated, the claims rep says, hey, look, to notify you throughout this process, would you like to be email? Would you like to have text, or would you like to have phone call? So I saw that firsthand over, 10 years of, the customers always saying text. So that's where we just kind of, took that in and implemented it.
Okay. And then now you've built out these automations or at least a sequence of communication that gets done in the pre-build process up to the build. Boy, that's different on the other side. And that's the loyalty phase to me, right? Like when we're talking about the customer journey, that loyalty phase is a missed opportunity a lot of times. So let's talk about that 3 to 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks post-build of what you're doing. What's that communication cycle like?
Yeah, post-build, like I said, I mean, we're just simply saying, thank you so much for choosing SeekOne. Hey, tell us more about your experience. Here's a link. Here's a survey. We at this point in time now, we have, a build contract specialist that runs every single contract. We don't want 20, 30 sales guys all over promising and under delivering. So, we have one guy that goes out and he runs contracts all day, every day, sun up to sundown. So what we do is we take him and we put him to the back end of it, and he goes and drops off a bag that just has our SeekOne target on it, our logo, says blessed, focused, committed, a coffee cup, a little flyer that has a thank you, and then also kind of tells who we are at SeekOne, what we stand for, our vision, our core values, and then a review link, obviously. So I think it's the post-build, hey, your materials have been picked up. Hey, post-build survey. Hey, post-build gift. Hey, post-build walkthrough. Like, we have seen that not only has this created an amazing opportunity for the brand and for referrals and for references and just to build a base of cheerleaders, of people that are like, hey, I'll talk about SeekOne, no matter matter what to anyone. But I also think that it's helped so much. And every roofing business I see that just AR, accounts receivables is just from 30 days to 60 days to 90 days. It's drug out. And I think that when you do these things and you execute, you got to give to get. I preach that. And when we give what we give, I think that we can get what we need, which is that final check. And it's an easy layover. They're going, here it is. Or, hey, look, I don't have it, but my adjuster called me. It's coming. Like, we now have flipped the variables to where they're communicating with us on a high level.
And that's, I didn't think of it from an AR perspective, but so what you're saying is you found that that you have a better collections process because of the amount of communication that you have. Do you think like it's just that they're used to communicating with you at that point in time? They've gotten so much communication that, it's just another contact or it's just more communication. What do you think is, and what, if you have measured it, what has the tangible difference been?
I think it's both. I really do.
Yeah.
I think when we're communicating on a high level, they reciprocate that. They turn that back and they say, hey, look, we're going to communicate. But at the same time, I also think that when you update and you just continuously have a portal for them to see where their job's at and what's going on, right? Like they want to help you because you've helped them. Like when let's step it back for a second. I forgot to say, but when we initiate a claim, obviously we're already communicating like SeekOne, but we have a custom roadmap. Like, let's be creative here and be different than just an automated text message, right? So we give them a tangible roadmap with step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What does this look like, right? And then our text messages can actually be tied back to, hey, when Justin gave you the roadmap, when you first decided to go with SeekOne Roofing Company, we're on step 3. Here's what it is, but also you have that. So it's just real easy to tie it back to that.
So it starts with this roadmap. I love that. You're giving them the kind of these are the expectations that you'll have along the way. Now we're communicating through that roadmap, through the expectations. And one thing that you'd mentioned is that even at the end, you're giving them something that talks about the company, the core values. That makes me think, well, why didn't you do that up front? Right? Like, what are you doing there? How are you thinking about that? Before we carry on with the episode, let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors. I talk to contractors every day that feel stuck. Not because they're not working hard, but because they're missing the structure to growth without chaos. Or their culture's falling apart because their team's unclear, unaligned, or just burned out. And when change hits, they're reacting instead of leading because time and priorities aren't under their control. Day 41 Thrive helps to fix that with proven strategies for growth, culture, and leadership that actually work. Ready to thrive beyond the storm? Visit the link in the description or visit the Roofing Success Podcast website on the sponsors page to start your journey today. Even at the end, you're giving them something that talks about the company, the core values. That makes me think, well, why didn't you do that up front? Right? Like, what are you doing there? How are you thinking about that?
Well, at the end of the day, I think that we always just want to come back when they think we're done. Another step. Like when we sign that claim, they're thinking they're not going to see us till that adjustment. So it's like, wait a second, let's hit them with some messages now. Then it's like after the contract, they think they're not going to hear from us till the build. So, okay, let's then hit them there. And then after that build, they think we're done. I think the biggest thing is that we want to be able to put enough ammo in their clip to where they have every reason to speak highly about SeekOne Roofing Company. So if I give it all to them at the beginning, right, then I don't have enough to be able to consistently, impress them the entire time. Like, I don't want to give them everything about SeekOne and how great we are. I want to show it to you. And I think that when we wait to do some of those things on the back, they're like, wait a second. This is a faith-based company. Wait a second. Their core values are blessed, focused, committed. Like, I shouldn't have to sell you on that. And I teach and train and develop our team on the fact that, hey, if we execute and we live it out, then guess what? They're just going to have the aha moment at the end when they see all of what we really stand for.
Got it. I like that. So when you're kind of providing this context to the company at the end, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
They really do.
They do this. Yeah. That's awesome.
And then I want
You
to go
did.
back real quick. You said, hey, look,
Yeah,
what
go
were
for it.
things, that you saw that missed? And I said client communication within the scalability of that last company that I previously worked with, right?
Yeah.
And I think one other that I just want to touch on real fast is just, the love and the appreciation for the guys that do it. Okay. Like when you go from 5 sales reps, that's where the team dinners are. And that's where the, hoorah and the hip in the meetings are, real active and you're really involved. And then you get to 10 reps and then, that starts to die off a little bit. And then you get up to 15 reps and then we're too big for this. And then all of a sudden, you're at 20 reps, 25 reps. And I think that I saw that you just became a person and, another name on the board. And I also think that your jobs became another job on the board. And I think that what we've separated ourselves through and the gap that I was able to note and really implement here at SeekOne is client communication when you scale is very important and to maintain that, but also being able to show the appreciation for the people that make it happen. I still to this day, as the owner of this company, as an owner, I have a partner, but I handle the sales, the branding, the marketing, the vision, the energy. And I feel like when they start to feel you remove yourself and distance yourself, that culture and that atmosphere and that following all of those steps that we just talked about starts to, go down a little bit. And for me, I think that we're actually the opposite. I think that, through, as I told you, we do 4 massive trips a year. And we really invest in these people. And, it's like, hey, I ask for all of that communication and for that customer experience and journey to be that way. But at the same time, I give it to you. We make sure that we don't just give our guys, 2 shirts and a hat, right? Like I want to make sure that my guys have backpacks, that they've got, the gear, that they've got, all of us are in sync and in uniform and look the part, and that we've got, really nice vests and really nice hoodies and really nice jackets and hats and folders and literature and all of the pieces to equip our guys to be able to be as successful as possible. And we do that like every single other month. It's something new. Last week, we passed out all Nike backpacks to the entire sales team for them. 2 weeks before that, 3-4 weeks before that, it was custom polos that we went through, and I think that it's like, hey, look, like we want you to look a certain way and we want you to play the part a certain way. We're not going to require you to follow all these steps and processes and systems without giving you and showing you by, having a, Monday sales meeting every week, having a Friday sales meeting every week, having our team leader meetings with their teams every Wednesday, having their huddles daily. The structure, I think, is that, hey, look, I said it earlier, but too much is given, much is required. And so I think we can require a lot here.
How are you keeping that connection? Because what are you guys on your 3rd location now? I think is, if I'm not mistaken. How are you? That mistake or something that could be improved upon that you saw at the other company where it was just the name on the board, it just another sales rep, and that distance between the leadership and the sales team. How. You talked about some meetings and the company swag and different things, but like, how are you staying connected? How are you and Connor staying connected to the team?
Yeah, great question. I think that for us, we're here every day. A lot of times we're the first here and the last to leave. And, that doesn't go unnoticed. I think one big piece is that Connor and I both, it's a very unique situation. Connor, handles the production, the operations, the books, the finances. He manages the entire office staff and all the departments. And guess what? Connor's worked for multiple roofing companies. Connor worked for SRS. Connor's a general contractor. Like Connor has done every section and part of the job. And so have I from a sales standpoint, to where when we say what we need and what we want and we point the finger, we're not saying to go do something to any team member that we don't do ourselves or haven't done. And so I think that we, once again, can demand a lot because not only are we really engaged and involved at a high level within the day-to-day and the week-to-week and all the meetings and all the structure, but also I think there's a lot of respect for the fact that, if I say that this is what we need to do and how we need to do it, well, guess what? I'm doing that too. And so
I hear high standards for the team.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Like they have high standards for the team. How are you tracking those standards? Are you looking at certain KPIs? Are you looking at what are you doing to really measure those standards? And then when does the conversation begin and how is the conversation had of, hey, we're getting off track here. You're not meeting the standards of SeekOne Roofing.
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that. This is kind of my forte and kind of what fires me up. So, I really believe that what doesn't get measured doesn't get moved. So you said, how do we measure that? Well, I'll tell you. Once again, because I came from this and I saw what needed to be done, this was another variable of what I didn't see and didn't have where I came from, which is, I should be able to know how many customers, what my average ticket is, what my average approval rating is, what my, scope amount is with what insurance carrier. What are the upgrades sold on all my jobs? When are all my builds? Where are all my builds in repair? Where are all my builds in the collection stage? So I think what we did was we invested in a early stage of SeekOne into a data IT individual.
Yes.
So his role, Alan, is to make sure that we have the right, platforms to be able to relay all that information. And so at SeekOne, we've actually built out a custom platform that is a, dashboard for every single department. And so in our office, if you walk in within 30 seconds, you can tell where every section of this business is. And it's tracked to a penny and down to the minute. And so we have one massive TV that has the production, how many builds, whose builds, what's the average ticket, when are they, where are they located, what crew, what superintendent's on that build. And we've got that rolled out for the next 30 days, weather pending. You then go to another TV and it's going to show you all the customers that are in repairs and when those repairs are supposed to take place after the build to be able to collect. We have another TV that has a leadership board of where all the leaders are within the sales, a leaderboard that shows, first place all the way to last, where they're at in revenue. We break that down from within the week, within the month, within the quarter, and within the year. And so we track all of that, who has the largest, project, who has, the most projects, so we've got everything you could think of. And then we have another board that breaks down the teams within the teams. So we have team leaders at SeekOne Roofing Company. And in that way, it's not just, one or two guys and then all the sales reps. So what we've done is we've separated 20 sales reps roughly, and it goes back and forth, seasonality, some ebbs and flows, but that's where we're generally sitting. And so we're able to break that into about 4 or 5 team leaders. And so we have where is just their team, in revenue and approval. So I think that, to require all of what I ask for and what we want and to set that strong standard, once again, we're giving it. To much is required, much is given, or to much is given, much is required. And we give them everything they need to be able to be successful and to understand why we're asking for it to be done at that level.
If for a company that does not track data at that level, where do they start?
Well, I think that you can just start in your CRM. At least make sure that you've got a reporting dashboard that just shows scope amounts and revenue per rep, an AccuLinks, Job Nimbus, GiddyUp, whatever it is. I mean, they all have some dashboard. We feel as if that doesn't do what we need to at all. Like, we want to track every variable possible in every single department and more. So for us, it was like, hey, let's build out a custom platform and being able to go in and see every single section of this business. But I think just starting with, or accepting. I think the biggest thing is just acceptance of knowing, hey, look, I need this. My guys need this. Let's do something. Rather it's an Excel sheet, rather it's, through the CRM, but God, you got to give them something. I really do. I think so.
Yeah, for sure. And then when do you, what's the turning point, or what's the when do you go from, okay, we have something to we need everything?
Great question. I think that just depends on when are you really wanting to put scale to the test. Because when you scale, you've got to have it. Okay. To scale it, you got to nail it. And, to nail it, you've got to have everything, tracked and measured. And I don't think that people start putting up $100,000, to $250,000 marketing campaigns per month when they're not tracking everything. And if you are, then I think you're really running before you walk. So I think that to answer your question, when you decide that, hey, this isn't a $2 million, $4 million, $6 million operation, and you're trying to go from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and you're really trying to grow 100, 200% a year, to be able to grow, you've got to know.
Yeah. What are the most important metrics on that dashboard for you?
It's funny you say that. So I actually have my own dashboard. It's called Jordan's VIP Stats. I am not a numbers person. And I also think that plays a part of why we're successful here is that I stay in my lane. I tell our guys and this entire staff that, hey, when you go to a bowling alley, there's 30 lanes, but you only get a play in one. And I think that I've kept my bumpers up and I've said, hey, look, I'm going to own my lane. And so I have a great team and amazing people here. And when you can put our bookkeeper together and you can put our data analyst together and you can, continue to compound all these numbers, I've been able to say, hey, I don't understand and I don't, need to track everything. So for me, can we track, certain KPIs that are going to play into me owning my lane? And so for me, those KPIs, a couple of them would be, hey, look, what is our current revenue for the year? What is our revenue, for the month? What's our revenue for the week? How many signings, contingencies for the insurance carrier do we have per week, per month, per year? How many approvals and how many builds? And then what's our average ticket? The average ticket really helps because I know right now that we're running, I can look at the TV in front of me and tell you, our average scope right now is $26,287. So if I know that we've got this many approvals or this many contingencies, I'm able to do simple math, and it really helps me, and it honestly keeps me calm. When I, day to day, week to week, just being able as a business owner, there's so much stuff that gets done. There's just so much stress. And like right now in Nashville, it's Mother Nature. Like it is literally raining every other day. So because we track all of that, we're able to call a meeting, being able to really understand, hey, look, we signed 300 deals in the last 45 days. We had a storm hit. So our approval rating sits at 86%. So I can take 300 times 86%. And then I know our average ticket is $26,287. So I can say, okay, we're anticipating around $8 million of revenue coming in. And hey, our production board, it tells me how many builds we can put into the ground, how many superintendents we have to be able to maintain that experience that we want. And so when you can put all that data together, you can really, really, really nail it and scale it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that you said that's important for people to know is what data is most important to you. Mm-hmm. You're tracking all kinds of data, but you have to have your view of that data. Your production manager has to have their view of the data. Your sales managers, your team leads, whoever, like they have to have their vision of the view of that data also. Brentwood and Franklin, you'd mentioned more high-end neighborhoods, high-end areas. How did you break into the high-end neighborhoods and win the trust in those markets? I know you're enjoying the episode, but let's give a shout out to another one of our sponsors. As a roofing marketing agency owner and coach, I've seen it all. Great marketing wasted because no one follows up fast enough. That's why I built Power Up Agents, not just a receptionist. Our AI handles the entire customer journey. from answering the first call to booking the job to post-job surveys and reviews. 24/7, inbound, outbound, even multilingual. If you want leads followed up instantly and customers nurtured automatically, visit the link in the description or visit the sponsors page on the Roofing Success Podcast website. Your full AI team is ready. Brentwood and Franklin, you'd mentioned more high-end neighborhoods, high-end areas. How did you break into the high-end neighborhoods and win the trust in those markets?
Yeah, that kind of came back from just in very early stages, and I think my partner realized kind of, hey, we'd worked together for 2 years, at that previous company, and we had, channels to where we could post all of our signings and approvals and what was going on. And I think he saw that, hey, look, I have a strong skill set in being able to go out and win a customer and really make a name within the most challenging and intricate systems in the entire community. So, he knew that, hey, I was going to go in and I was going to go out that first year and go sell the largest projects, the 150, 200, 250 squares, draped in copper, standing seams, flat locks, all kinds of half round gutter systems. And hey, if we can just execute at a very high level on those first 50 projects, 100 projects, then we can make a name for ourselves and rattle and create a lot of noise within this industry and within this market here. And so to answer your question, man, I went into your Laurelbrook, your Governor's Club, your Annandale, your Hidden River, your Two Rivers, these big time country clubs where all the artists and all the well-known people live. And so it was kind of like not just, who did your roof, and if they're working in here, then they must be great. But also setting the tone and setting that standard of, no, not only are we in here, but more so not even making that image and creating that atmosphere for the customers and for within that neighborhood, but letting the other competitors in this market that had the market share know that, hey, we're here, we're going to make a name, and we're moving fast. So I think that we gained a lot of respect very fast from all the suppliers, from all the vendors, from all the shingle manufacturers, from all the competitors, that, hey, look, SeekOne can do it, and they're going to do it. And it wasn't ever an opportunity of just hey, look, we can put in a price and we can put in a bid, and they may go with the guy who's been in business 30 years. Right? I knew that I was going to be able to set myself apart coming in here early on and building in this upper echelon of, $5 to $10 million homes. And so that's what I think really helped create the brand, create the name, and, allowed everything to kind of compound from there, was just aggressively coming in and working in areas in this market that most people don't work in for 20 years.
Yeah. What gave you the confidence to do that? Because, that seems like, that's what is lacking maybe in some other people in I don't know if I want to go there yet. Right.
Well, I always tell my guys, I say, hey, look, the roof size varies, it may be steeper, it may be bigger, but the front door is always the same. So for me, and being a young company and being somewhere new and needing to really, really, really build up and create that name fast, without having departments, without having an office, without having reviews, without having a website, right? I had to go in there and knock down those projects to be able, to scale a little bit quicker, because I had to come from the approach that, hey, less is more. Right? I couldn't go out and go sign 40 jobs that were all 30, 40 squares, because we didn't have the manpower. We didn't have the bandwidth to be able to support all of that. So for me, it was, quality, not quantity. I'd rather have 10, 6-figure plus jobs that would make up $1 million in revenue than I would, let's just call it 40, 50, $20,000 jobs. And so for me, it was I was forced into that. Number one, I like it. I'm a fast-paced, aggressive sales guy that kind of likes the, hey, look, I want to come in here, and if I'm going to do this, I might as well go work with the best of the best and the biggest. But I also think that I was a little bit kind of driven to go do that because it was less writing of estimates, less material orders, less project managing. But then on the flip side was, creating a bigger name faster. So I think it all just kind of was the right recipe out the gate, was doing less jobs, but doing, more complex project.
All right. And now over the years, though, from that year one, yet you're moving at more of a scale. How did you approach building your team, as you've grown there?
Yeah. And back to what I said, a little bit ago, I think my team really respects me because I've done every end of this. I'm not telling them to go drop off that client gift or to go, to the build and do this, or, to communicate at this high of a level, or to wear this, uniform, or to, make sure the truck looks a certain way, without me doing that myself. Right. So, I think that they kind of followed that. Hey, look, like SeekOne Roofing Company is bad in the belt and does the big projects. And so I think they all come in here and have to start somewhere. But I think the goal is, hey, look, I want to do what SeekOne's been able to do by, taking care of these large scale projects. So I think they've kind of followed suit in that because the brand carries that name of complexity.
Nice. And then as you've been scaling the team, what lessons have you learned about hiring the right people?
Well, I think that's a big note that we took from the previous company of one of the, to not do was, in our book and that playbook was, hey, look, man, they had 3 people that were full-time recruiters that sat in that office, that had a headset on, that were on a Zoom call doing an interview almost every hour of the day. It got to a point to where they were interviewing so many people, they started doing what they called an SOM, a sales opportunity meeting, so that they could have 20 people hop on one Zoom to tell what the job is and what the company stands for and how they operate and what it looks like. And so for me, it's never been let's hire, as many people as we can, throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Let's put them in the field and see if they sink or swim. It's never been that way. Let's tie it back to the community here. I understand where I work, right? I understand this market. It's not just some small town and you can have whoever or whatever representing your brand. I have to have elite level, educated, very, very organized individuals. So for us, what have we been able to do? I've taken the approach from some other mentors of mine, of, hey, look, like we want the athletes. Right? Because I feel like athletes are dedicated. I feel like they're committed. I feel like they buy into the bigger mission and vision, or a team player, and understand why certain things are taking place. So for us, I was actually able to go hire a lot of young guys, that came from either playing high school sports or college sports. And then, not even just the sports, but man, I'd say more than half of our team, if not 3/4, is college educated, from big schools, from the SEC schools, from your Ole Miss to your Alabama to the University of Georgia to UT. Like we hire, I think, upper level people, and I think we've been able to do so because of where we're located. So we realized, wait a second, these people are here and they're not in the roofing space. If we can go take those people, put them in the roofing space, coach, develop, and mold these individuals, then I think that we can go back to that customer experience of realizing where we're located and what these people are owed, and that we can really actually do something special and do something different. So at SeekOne Roofing Company, our guys are these are top-notch people, man. These are people you want to be around and you want to do business with.
I was talking about this on an RSRA call recently, where you find your, we think about it in marketing. It's your buyer avatar, your customer avatar. I was like, man, you have an employee avatar too, and it sounds like you've started to define that employee avatar, educated, this, that. What are some of the characteristics of that employee avatar from the sales perspective? Let's start with sales, and then maybe we'll also speak to the operations side and production side of things.
Yeah. So I say this all the time. It's a quote from Nick Saban. Mediocre people don't like high achievers, and high achievers don't like mediocre people. And I think that's what's taking place at SeekOne. I think that when you walk in this office, there's just something different. I think a lot of people talk about culture, but like I said, within those customers, we don't want to have to tell them that we're faith-based, or, we don't want to have to tell them our core values, because we want to show them. I want to live them out. And I think that that's what we do here. Like, there's just something different in the air in this office. Everyone knows it when they walk in here. And I think that, these guys, when they come and they, just from the second we onboard them, they understand that they're committed, right? Like, we've got their gear, we've got their folders, we've got their agreements, we've got their 6-week SeekOne sales training academy. And what are those expectations? And I want you to initial right now, week 1, all the way to week 6. And we're going to sit down each week and we're going to go over that. And so I think that from the day and the moment that they start here, they understand that, hey, this isn't just a, is this going to work? I might try this. I was telling, one of our VP of sales the other day, I said, look, if we give them a little, it's a lot easier for them to give us a little. And when we give them a lot, I took this from a guy, Tommy Mello, he owns garage doors, and I've had many conversations with him, and I listened to a podcast, a home service expert, that he runs, and I've listened to a lot of them. But the other week, he actually had an A1 employee on, and her role was just simply onboarding and training. She runs a full-on training department. She's got 6 trainers below her, and she said it's now at a point in time, Tommy, where they're removing themselves and they're saying the word sorry. And we would have never thought that in a million years. And it's because we're giving them so much that they feel bad raving. And I thought about it and I was like, wait a second. In these home service business jobs, whether it's 1099, W-2, whatever, door-to-door positions, sales, I think everyone's mentality is, I'm going to come in and try this. They've turned that now to where at A1 and from day one, this will be the last time you ever onboard someone. And I think that when you can, mentally and psychologically get them to understand that, hey, we're starting this, we're doing this, and we're not going to quit. We're not going to back off. If you just follow and don't give them the month, don't give them the year, simply week by week, have that team leader, have that inside director of sales, have that VP of sales sitting down with them every week, 2 or 3 times a week, going over what is it that you've got to do this week and making it clear. I don't think that people leave. Our retention rate at SeekOne Roofing Company is absolutely one of the most impressive things that we've got. It really is. And it starts with that ride along. And when he gets assigned to a team and he's in the truck, that moment, that's some synergy there. They're going to talk. What's that guy going to do that's starting out? He's going to ask all of the questions that we're talking about right now. How long have you worked here? What do you really like about SeekOne? What do you not like about SeekOne? What do they do great? And when my guy is able to look at him and say, hey, I've worked here for 4 years and I don't plan to go anywhere else, that's strong. They need to hear it from our people, not from us. And so I think that when they're in these day-to-day conversations, week to week, month to month within this team, and they get in, they realize, hey, look, this place is special. These people are taken care of. When they hear those conversations of, hey, look, man, I don't know how else to paint the picture for you, that this company will do whatever it takes. If you need an advance on a project and it makes sense, we'll do it. Hey, if your tire goes out, we'll do it. Hey, if you need 2 months rent, to be able to figure it out, we're going to do it. We're here to serve our people so that they'll serve us. And in return, we can do something great together. And I think it's a partnership here. It's not that they work for SeekOne.
I love that mindset. You talked about the company that had the recruiter on the phone doing interviews over and over again. Do you guys? I feel like there's a recruiting versus hiring mentality. Do you guys have a recruiting or hiring mentality? I know you're enjoying the episode, but let's give a shout out to another one of our sponsors.
Stop going at it alone, because growing a roofing company today is not what it was like even 3 years ago. Not with the economy, not with private equity, not with AI taking over the world, and let's not forget insurance rewriting the rules. Join the community of roofers who don't really like roofers. We share our winning secrets to help each other dominate in today's fast-changing and unpredictable times. Click the link in the description to apply to join.
Do you guys have a recruiting or hiring mentality?
Man, it's at this point in time, it's kind of, who comes here is going to come here because they're brought here by our. And so at this point, we've done such a great job, man, of really just building such a great atmosphere and a strong brand. And, we sponsor all the golf courses here, and we sponsor a lot of restaurants, and we host a lot of trivias. And we, and I think I really, really, want to hone in on this. Your reviews aren't for your customers. They're for the people that are going to come here and work for SeekOne. Like, I think that we have so many people that didn't even see an ad that were like, wait a second, I wanted to join roofing sales because I've heard about how great it is and how successful you can be in a short amount of time. And simply, I just looked up on Google the roofing companies near me. And when I saw 500 5-star reviews, not 4.5, 4.7, but 5 stars, I realized, wait a second, this is a place I want to be because they take care of their people. And if you're going to take care of your customers at that level, you're going to take care of your people. There's no question. So for us, to answer the, are we recruiting or are we hiring? We've just taken such great care of the people that are here that they've brought their people. So, the brand's doing its job. The brand is doing the recruiting. Our customers bring people to us. So I don't know exactly how to answer, is it recruiting or hiring? I honestly think it's just, hey, look, we serve our people, our customers, and the people inside these walls at such a high level that I think that they're coming from every which way.
Yeah. And that's that recruiting mentality, because to recruit someone, you're marketing to them in a way, right? Like you're marketing the brand, and it just like a customer would refer someone, an employee refers someone, an employee refers, like it's a great cycle that can happen if you do the right things for your team. Why did you choose to start expanding out?
Honestly, we're dominating this market in Middle Tennessee, like absolutely crushing it. And, we've got a lot of heavy hitters. We've got a lot of guys that sell, $1 million in the first quarter. Does that mean he's going to go sell 4 million? No, but he's going to sell 2.75. And with that being said, I want to offer opportunities to the people that are giving us everything they've got. And it's my mission. It's Connor and I's dream is that we're here to build a platform to be able to shape winners, both personally and professionally. And so I think that we've just created such a winning atmosphere where we've got enough guys sitting on the sidelines ready to go run an operation. And if we don't, they might go do it. And so I was talking to one or two of them the other day. I brought in that, they're not there right this second, but they're going to be our guy. And so I just wanted to sit them down and say, you are absolutely murdering the game. Like, you are doing everything we ask for, and I can't thank you enough. And I owe it to you to let you know and see a little bit of the vision in the future, to buy in that, hey, look, if you can stay patient and you can keep serving your people with excellence, I can tell you right now, you will be a partner with me and we will go expand. And I think that when they've learned our systems and they've learned our processes and they've learned every area of how we operate, and they're not just one-dimensional. That's the biggest piece. Because I see a lot of guys that can go sell $2.5 million worth of roofs, but they're not a leader. They're not going to guide and direct the people the right way. And so I think for us, we were able to shift through our team leader program. Hey, if you can prove to me that you can manage 5, 6, 7, 8 guys, that they can run their meetings the right way, that they're on time, that they're doing everything that we ask, that, hey, this is a stepping stone to being able to go run a market. And so I think that we've just had that opportunity where I've had some guys like Chase, for example, he's a general manager over in Huntsville. And, Chase, he's everything you could want. And it's a combination of being able to develop that individual and at the same time being able to grow where we don't feel the burn or an impact of that guy not being in this market. So I think it's a dual edge, sword where it's like, you can go leverage that person and give them more opportunity, and at the same time, we don't feel the burn here. Right. And so we've been able to do that, and we want to continue to do the green fielding, and we want to go, expand to Louisville, Kentucky, and then Knoxville here shortly. And I've got 2 or 3 guys on the batter's box sitting here ready to roll. So I think it just shows career path in all reality. I really do. A lot of guys will come in and they'll sell a lot and they'll be really excited. Then they think they've mastered it and that they know everything. And then when you give them that team leader position and now they feel the burn of keeping up with other people's numbers and, having the meetings and, okay, wait a second, now I've got a lot more responsibility. And then being able to go from that team leader to then being a general manager, I think that we've got a clear ladder here. I really
that's
do.
Awesome. What do you think has been the single biggest factor in your rapid growth so far?
I'd say, oh man. I've said that if you can go through a Chick-fil-A drive-thru and they can code, develop, and build a 16, 17, and 18-year-old to serve the people better than we can, we've got a problem. And so I think that I'm going to go back to it, man. That customer experience, that customer journey, right? Like when you call Amazon for about 10 years, their opening line was, the customer's always right. How can we help you? At Chick-fil-A, it's my pleasure. What else can I get you? And I think for us, it was understanding, hey, if we can remove the money and we can remove, we don't have to do this, and realizing that, hey, if we do this, that we might just become great. I think that's what it is. I think that we've realized that, hey, look, if we can do all the little things, then we can be great. And then I also think that, man, we just serve our people. We really do. I think that we serve our people. We bust our tails. We treat every job as if it's the same. I treat the guy who sells $100,000 a month versus the guy that sells $500,000 a month the exact same. And I think that when you can put all that, you can tie all that together, I think it creates something special. I really do.
Awesome, Jordan, man. Thanks for your time today. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into the Roofing Success Podcast. For more valuable content, visit roofingsuccesspodcast.com. While there, check out our sponsors for exclusive offers, shop for merchandise, and sign up for our newsletter for industry updates and tips. Also, join the Roofing Success Facebook group to connect with other professionals and stay updated on the latest trends. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps us continue to bring you top industry insights. The website link is in the description. Thanks for listening.